Hi, I'm Abigail Sirawa.
I'm Dominic A. Leonardo, and we will be discussing about the firms and its goals.
What is a firm? A firm is a commercial enterprise, a company that buys and sells products or services to consumers with the aim of making a profit. In the world of commerce, the term a firm usually means the same as a company or a business. Example, ABC Incorporation is a company. Therefore, ABC Incorporation is a firm.
Next is the general types of firms. There are three general types of firms. First is the sole proprietorship or the single owner. Second, the partnership or group of owners. And lastly, corporations, which are the independent entities. Sole proprietorship. A sole proprietorship firm is such a type of business entity that is owned, controlled, and managed by a single person. The person has unlimited liabilities, and there is no legal distinction between the owner and the business.
Partnership. A partnership is an arrangement between two or more people to oversee business operations and share its profits and liabilities. There is no limit to the number of partners that can have a stake in ownership. A partnership's owners each are liable for all the business obligations, and together they own everything that belongs to business.
Corporation. A corporation is a business entity that is owned by its shareholders. The shareholders elect a board of directors to oversee the organization's activities. The corporation is liable for the actions and finance of the business. The shareholders are not. In a corporation, the business financials are separated from the owner's financials. Owners of the corporations are not liable for any costs, lawsuits, or other obligations of the business. Sole proprietorship examples includes small business such as a local grocery store, a local clothes store, freelance writer, an artist, IT consultant, freelance graphic designer, and etc.
Partnership examples includes BMW and Louis Vuitton, Taco Bell and Doritos, Burger King and McDonald's, Nike and Apple, Uber and Spotify, and many more.
Examples of corporation includes San Miguel Corporation, Nestle Philippines, Shell Philippines, BDO Unibank, SM Investment Corporation, Globe Telecom, PLDT, and etc.
What are the goals of firm? So there are 5 main goals of firm, and these are the following: sales maximization, profit maximization, utility maximization, welfare maximization, and growth maximization. Sales maximization. According to Professor Baumol, the ultimate objective of firm is sales maximization rather than the profit maximization. The objective of sales maximization with minimum profit can be easily understood with this figure, where TC stands for total cost, TR for total revenue, and TP for total product. Profit maximization. It is another important objective guiding the entrepreneur for the production of goods. According to the traditional theory, that level output, which the maximum difference between the total revenue and total cost, will help an entrepreneur maximize his profit. So this objective is depicted in this figure. Utility maximization. Utility or satisfaction remains the end objective of human behavior. It is also called as preference function maximization. According to this view, the satisfaction to the entrepreneur does not come only from the maximization of profit, but he or she may get dissatisfaction from the leisure which he or she is able to enjoy. So this figure will help us understand this objective.
Welfare maximization. There are two types of welfare maximization. First is the personal welfare. In the personal welfare, the people who make decisions for a business are, in fact, people. They have likes and dislikes. On occasions, these people use the firm to pursue their own personal welfare. When they do, their actions enhance the firm's profit maximization or in many cases, prevent profit maximization. The second type of welfare maximization is the social welfare. The people who make decisions for firms also have social concerns. Part of their likes and dislikes might be related to the overall state of society. As such, they might use the firm to pursue social welfare, which could enhance or prevent the firm's profit maximization. The last goal of firm is growth maximization. An empirical study of big corporation was made by famous U.S. economist J.K. Galbraith and came to the conclusion that managers pursue not single but multiple goals. Managers also keep the prime objective, which is to achieve the top level or the highest possible level of growth in output. And they also try to improve their prestige, technical superiority, and market power.
Good morning, everyone. I am Cristancy Sidilio, the next reporter. So, factors of production. So, typically, it includes land, labor, capital, and natural resources. So, these inputs are usually directly to produce a good or service. So, what is technology? Technology is used to put these factors of production to work. A firm doesn't purchase additional units of technology to feed into the production process in the same way that a firm might hire more labor in order to increase output. So instead, the technology available in a particular industry or economy allows the firm to use labor and capital more or less efficiently. Now, let's define what is PPF. PPF, or also known as the Production Possibility Frontier, is a curve that illustrates the possible quantities that can be produced at two products if both depend upon the same finite resource for their manufacture.
For example, let's say an economy produces 20,000 oranges and 120,000 apples. So on the chart, that's point B. If we want to produce more oranges, we must produce fewer apples. So on the chart, have you seen point C shows that if it produces 45,000 oranges, it can only produce 85,000 apples. So by describing this trade-off, the curve demonstrates the concept of opportunity cost. Making more one good will cost society the opportunity of making more of the other good.
What is technological change? It is a term that is used to describe any change in the set of feasible production possibilities. A change in technology alters the combinations of inputs or the types of inputs required in the production process. An improvement in technology usually means that fewer and or less costly inputs are needed. If the cost of the production is lower, the profits available at a given price will increase, and producers will produce more. With more produced at every price, the supply curve will shift to the right, meaning an increase in supply and a decrease in prices. Technological improvement improves the efficiency of production, which increases supply and lowers prices. For the economy as a whole, an improvement in technology shifts the production possibilities frontier outward. Production possibilities frontier. plays a crucial role in economics. It can demonstrate the point that any nation's economy reaches its greatest level of efficiency when it produces only what is best qualified to produce and trades with other nations for the rest of what it needed.
Hello everyone, I am Krisha Marie Aridigal, and this time I'm going to continue the discussion about technology and function that had been discussed a while ago by Ms. Chris Ann Cedillo. Innovation is a way in which output can be increased with the same input. This only means that if technology is innovated, it could produce much more output using the same amount of raw materials, capital, and labor. Supply of these goods increased and the production possibilities curve for the entire economy shifted outward. Next is function. The production function signifies a technical relationship between the physical inputs and physical outputs of the firm for a given state of the technology. In equation, production function can be written in the form Q is equals to F of A, B, C to Z, where A, B, C to Z are various inputs such as land, labor, capital, and etc., while Q is the level of the output for a firm. If labor L and capital K are only the input factors, the production function reduces to the form Q is equals to F of LK, where L refers to human power or manpower and K refers to money, which could be in the form of fixed capital, liquid capital, and etc. Production analysis. Production analysis basically is concerned with the analysis in which the resources such as land, labor, and capital are employed to produce a firm's final product. To produce these goods, the basic inputs are classified into two divisions, and these are the variable inputs and fixed inputs. But what are these inputs and how does these two differ from each other? So to answer that question, variable inputs are those inputs whose quantity can be changed in the time period under consideration. This means that these inputs can easily be increased or decreased in a short period of time. While fixed inputs refers to the input in the production of goods and services that does not change in the short run, meaning these are those inputs that cannot be easily altered even though the output changes. The best example of a fixed input is the factory, building, equipment, or other capital used in production, while the comparable example of a variable input would be the labor or workers who work in the factory or operate the equipment. In the short run, such as a day or so, a firm can vary the quantity of labor, but the quantity of capital is fixed.
In economics, production theory explains the principles in which the business has to take decisions on how much of each commodity it sells and how much it produces, and also how much of raw material, like for example fixed capital and labor, it employs and how much it will use. It defines the relationships between the prices of the commodities and productive factors on one hand, and the quantities of these commodities and productive factors that are produced on the other hand. And so, what is production? Production is a process of combining various inputs to produce an output for consumption. It is the act of creating output in the form of a commodity or a service which contributes to the utility of individuals. In other words, it is a process in which the inputs are converted into outputs. So let's move on to the cost function. What is cost function? Cost function is defined as the relationship between the cost of the product and the output. So we have a formula here which is C is equals to F quantity Q. You can either read the formula as C depends on Q or C is a function of Q. So in this formula, C represents as the output and Q represents as the input or the cost of the product, which includes direct labor, direct materials, consumable production supplies, and factory overhead.
This formula shows that the output has a relationship to the cost of the product, wherein the outputs will vary or change through the proper combination and use of the cost of the product. So, this cost function is classified into two types, which are known as the short-run cost and the long-run cost. Let's begin with the short-run cost. What is short-run cost? Short-run cost is an analysis in which few factors are constant, which won't change during the period of analysis. The output can be changed, like for example increase or decrease in the short run by changing the variable factors as well as the rate of production. So, there are three basic types of short-run cost, and we have the short-run fixed cost, variable cost, and the short-run total cost. Short-run fixed cost is defined as a cost which won't change with the changes in the output, like for example building rent, insurance charges, and such. While on the other hand, variable cost is a cost which changes with the change in the output, like for example cost of raw material, wages, electricity, telephone charges, and such. While the short-run total cost is the total actual cost that is supposed to be incurred to produce a given output. Total cost can be calculated through using the formula total cost is equals to total fixed cost plus total variable cost. Like for example, you can have a total cost of 2,500 pesos if you sum up your building rent, which is equivalent to 1,000 pesos per month, with your electricity, which is equivalent to 1,500 pesos per month. So, let's move on to long-run cost. What is long-run cost? Long-run cost is a variable and a firm adjusts all its inputs to make sure that its cost of production is as low as possible. So, we have here long-run cost is equals to long-run variable cost. To further explain, this form implies that the long-run cost refers to a period of time where all factors of production and cost are variable because in long run, firms can choose their production technology in order for all costs to become variable cost. That's why long-run cost is being equals to long-run variable cost. In the long run, firms don't have the liberty to reach equilibrium between supply and demand by altering the levels of production. They can only expand or reduce the production capacity as per the profits. In the long run, a firm can choose any amount of fixed cost it wants to make short-run decisions. Like for example, when the firms are changing the quantity of production, decreasing or expanding a company, and entering or leaving a market in response to profits or losses.
Hello guys, so I'm K. Ryan G. Albiar and I will talk about market structure. What are market structures and what is market structure? A market is the area where buyers and sellers contact each other and exchange goods and services. It refers to the different market characteristics that determine the relationship between sellers to each another, of sellers to buyers, and more. Market structures are basically the number of firms in the market that produces identical goods and services. Market structure influences the behavior of the firms to a great extent. The market structure affects the supply of different commodities in the market. The four popular types of market structures are perfect competition, monopoly, oligopoly, and monopolistic competition.
Good day, Ma'am Jeneline and my classmates. I am Jeline B. Blanca-Plor. Me and Miss Bautista will discuss the types of market structures. First is the perfect competition. It is a market situation with many sellers and buyers. A single firm doesn't have significant marketing power, and as a result, the industry produces an optimal level of output because firms don't have the ability to influence market prices. A seller is a price taker. He accepts the price determined in the market by total demand and supply. products are identical to competitors' products and there are no significant barriers to entering and exiting the market. This only implies that perfect competition has a pre-market entry and exit. The best examples of perfect competition market structures are stock, agricultural, and crop markets. In agricultural market, products are very similar. Carrots, potatoes, and grain are all generic with many farmers producing them. As the product is homogeneous, it is easy to buy some land and farm it. Additionally, it is also easy to leave the market too. So, the market has key signs of perfect competition.
Hello, good morning once again. I am Jenny F. Bautista and I'm going to discuss the next type of market structures. Monopoly, a market structure characterized by a single seller, selling a homogeneous or unique product in the market. In a monopoly market, the seller faces no competition as he is the sole seller of goods with no close substitute. Characteristics associated with a monopoly market make the single seller the market controller as well as a price maker. He enjoys the power of setting the price for his goods. He has the highest level of market power. Hence, monopolists often reduce output, increase prices, and earn more profit. The firm can change the price and quantity of the good or service. In an elastic market, the firm will sell a high quantity of the good if the price is less. If the price is high, the firm will sell a reduced quantity in an elastic market. The best example for monopoly is Microsoft. It is a computer and software manufacturing company. It holds more than 75% market share and is the market leader and virtual monopolist in the tech space. The fact that nobody else is allowed to compete with them on the Windows and Office businesses, that is what makes them a monopoly.
Third is oligopoly. It is a market form in which the market or industry is controlled by a small number of sellers. It is dominated by a few firms, resulting in limited competition. They can collaborate with or compete against each other to use their collective market power to drive up prices and earn more profit. Entry to an oligopoly market is free. However, it is actually very difficult as there are many barriers such as technology, finance, and etc. Each firm may have some influence over price, especially when the product is differentiated. Price can be decided by a dominant firm that becomes a leader. Advertising is used because oligopoly firms compete with each other and indulge in non-price competition to attract customers. Hence, oligopoly market could turn into a monopoly through mergers and acquisitions. The best example of oligopoly are Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Coca-Cola and Pepsi are oligopolistic firms that collude to dominate the soft drink market. In this scenario, both firms have the choice to set their prices high or low, and the potential profits for both firms are listed in the metrics. The firms are aware of the payoffs but do not collude when making their decision.
Monopolistic competition. It is a type of imperfect competition such that many producers sell products that are differentiated from one another as goods but not perfect substitutes, such as from branding, quality, or location. Market entry is not difficult, though it is not as free as perfect competition. However, restricting entry through patent rights is difficult. In monopolistic competition, firms do produce differentiated products, therefore, they are not price takers. Perfectly elastic demand. They have inelastic demand. Price is determined by market forces. However, there is enough scope of price differentiation based on product differentiation. The best example for monopolistic competition is restaurants. Restaurants compete on quality of food as much as price. Product differentiation is a key element of the business. There are relatively low barriers to entry in setting up a new restaurant.
Perfect competition has 5 key characteristics. First is many competing firms. Second, similar products sold. Third, equal market share. Fourth, buyers have full information. Fifth, ease of entry and exit. When these characteristics are seen in the market, we can consider it perfectly competitive.
Monopoly. A monopoly can be recognized by certain characteristics that set it aside from the other market structures. Number 1, profit maximizer. Number 2, price maker. Number 3, high barriers to entry. Number 4, single seller. And number 5, price discrimination. When these characteristics are seen in the market, we can consider it as monopoly.
There are 6 main characteristics of an oligopoly. First is a few firms with large market share. Second, high barriers to entry. Third, interdependence. Fourth, each firm has little market power in its own right. Fifth, higher prices than perfect competition. 6, more efficient. When these characteristics are seen in the market, we can consider it oligopoly.
Monopolistic competition. The following are the characteristics of a monopolistic market. Number 1, many buyers and sellers. Number 2, slightly differentiated products. Number 3, maximized profits. Number 4, low barriers to entry and exit. Number 5, potential supernormal profits in the short term. Number 6, normal profits in the long run. Number 7, imperfect information. And number 8, non-price competition. When these characteristics are seen in the market, we can consider it monopolistic competition.